Hi, my name is Rebecca Reeves, and today I'll be talking with you about informed consent. The assignment was to search the internet and find an informed consent form from another agency, and then compare and contrast that with the 2014 American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, as well as the Code of Ethics for our local state. I pulled my information from the state of Georgia Code of Ethics, and that's under the rules and regulations for the state of Georgia. I'll be referencing in the Code of Ethics, Section A2, which discusses informed consent in the counseling relationship, as well Section B3 and B6B. I'll be discussing as well in the informed consent. And then in the state of Georgia, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the fact that the rules and regulations for the state of Georgia doesn't have a lot of real clear expectations. It does discuss the fact that one needs to obtain informed consent, and there are some areas where it discusses what unethical behavior is as it relates to informed consent, um, not informing the client about the contractual obligations, and a couple of other areas, but there's just not a lot of information in the state of Georgia that really is specific to informed consent. So I'm going to spend more of my time discussing what the American Counseling Association has to say about that. I found my informed consent form under Hopeful Counseling LLC, and they are in Lanham, Maryland. This form was very nice because it's inclusive in the intake forms, where the counselor gets the history and a lot of the client's information, and it just works right into the informed consent form, so it's very convenient and it's not like an outside act, a separate piece. The informed consent form was very thorough, and I will prelude this to say that it was very much in line with the expectations for the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, Section A2, expectations for the informed consent. A2B, for the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, discusses the information that's needed. And so I'm just going to kind of compare and contrast those two things. The first section of the informed consent form is the counseling process, and it discusses the benefits and the risk to the counseling process, what the relationship looks like in the event that the client may have issues. It's really thorough in that and very much in line with the expectations that are listed with the American Counseling Association and the obligations that the counselor has as well as the client. The second section discusses the counseling process as it relates to hopeful counseling, and really gives some details about what can be expected by the client throughout the counseling relationship. The next section discusses confidentiality, and that includes when the agency could release information, under what circumstances, and it highlights the fact that this is not inclusive of everything that might be times, but it does talk about the importance of mandated reporters when it comes to doing harm to oneself, neglect, or abuse. It addresses legal, criminal proceedings, ethical issues, such as if the client were to disclose sexual misconduct by a therapist, that could be shared. So it's very exclusive, and it gives a summary of times when confidentiality could be violated. The next section just touches on consultation, and then counseling records, how they're stored, as well as how long they're stored, and um, the process for a client to be able to get their records if they need them. It discusses counseling decisions and how counseling decisions are made in collaboration with the client. There's a section that discusses access to services, including an emergency number, and what to do in crisis. There's a discussion of electronic communication as it relates to client confidentiality and the best way to reach somebody in an emergency. It discusses the counseling appointments and the expectations of the agency for the counseling appointments. There's a section on fees, the cancellation, and no-show policy. So, in my opinion, as I've read through this, the form is very thorough and very much in line with the expectations of Section A2 of the Informed Consent for the American Counseling Association. Again, I just want to state that Georgia does not really um, define the expectations. Um, and I think probably that's because because it is in a line with the expectations of the American Counseling Association. So that is all I have for today. I thank you very much and have a good day.